In Hebei, a small county that takes a while to find on the map, she peered through the car window at the bustling night market covered with dust and stains. The clamor of the crowd echoed far and wide. The streets were filled with the strong smell of opium husks emanating from the hot pot restaurants. The owner of the barbecue stand had an oily face, and the passers-by wrapped themselves tightly in their coats, braving through the thick smoke. Narrow, astringent, cold, and coarse. Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou are illusions of this country, while small counties like this are the reality. The woman had heard similar sentiments before, but never really understood it until now. This might be her last chance. She sighed and said, "This is the place, Uncle Bai, let's get off." The wind was strong in the north. The woman was wrapped in a large coat, hiding her body curves. Behind her was a man in his 30s, standing tall and straight with a neat flat-top haircut. They entered an old audio-video shop, one after the other. This dismal business is rare these days. The old television was somewhat damp, and young Dou-Wei was screaming on the greenish screen. The lyrics were filthy. Piles of martial arts novels were scattered everywhere, works of Liang Yusheng, Gu Long, and Ni Kuang. The warm-colored glass cabinet displayed a variety of records and videos from the late last century, along with some pixelated, even black and white, old photos. Teddy Robin, Sam Hui, and Alan Tam were gazing at each other with microphones in hand, next to the words, 1984 Space Travel Concert. Old-style posters were stuck on the wall, with the words Rouge Button written on them, and the picture of Anita Mui dressed as a man, her neck and eyebrows as light as smoke. "What can I get you?" The voice was clear and gentle, not like a rough northern man. Surprisingly, the owner of such a quaint store was a tall, thin young man, who seemed to be no more than 25 years old. He was wearing a black t-shirt and had a pale complexion. "Excuse me, are you Mr. Li Yan?" the woman asked with a smile. "Ah, yes, I am." The woman in the windbreaker had a high and straight nose, shallow eye sockets, and beautiful features, which made her look very heroic. Her whole demeanor exuded a sense of efficiency. Li Yan glanced subtly at the silent flat-top man behind the woman and replied, "I am a director of the Chinese Martial Arts Association and I come from Guangdong. My name is Lei Jing. Lei Hongsheng is my grandfather." The woman showed her white teeth. "According to seniority, I should call you senior brother." She shook hands with Li Yan. Her hand was warm and firm. Li Yan's eyes seemed to be covered with a thin layer of dust and only lit up when he heard the name Lei Hongsheng. "Oh, sit, sit. My place is small, please don't mind." The woman sat down gracefully on a chair nearby, quietly observing Li Yan. She still had pictures of her grandfather and this man from earlier times at home, but it was hard to associate the sharp and defiant young man in the pictures with the owner of this audio-video shop. "I often heard my grandfather mention you, senior brother. He always said that you have the highest talent he has ever seen." The man turned around to get the thermos, brewing tea while asking, "Is the old man still in good health?" The woman lowered her eyes. "He passed away before the new year." Li Yan's hand was steady, not a drop of water was spilled. He put down the thermos and gave the woman a deep look. "Is there anything I can help you with?" The woman pursed her lips and said, "I hope senior brother Li can come with me to Guangdong and serve as a consultant for the association." Li Yan raised his eyebrows and said, "You should have heard what kind of person I am. To be self-aware, in the martial arts world, the name Li Yan is infamous. How do you think I can help you?" Lei Jing was silent for a while, then smiled and said, "Rather than being infamous, it's more like being notorious. Maybe those people won't respect you, senior brother, but they will definitely fear you." Li Yan couldn't help but laugh at her words. "It sounds very reasonable. But you're too late." The man picked up the cup. "Lei Jing, you are an educated person, do you know what AML means?" Lei Jing was taken aback, and then a cloud of gloom surged in her heart. She tentatively said, "Acute myeloid leukemia." Li Yan took a sip of water. "I was diagnosed with this disease a month ago. Your grandfather knows that I have no family." He laughed, "So, I'm afraid I can't help you." The woman looked at her nails for a while before she dryly said, "The medical conditions in the south are much better than here, and I know some famous doctors abroad. Leukemia is not incurable. Even if you don't have siblings, it's entirely possible to find a matching bone marrow." The woman looked up, her demeanor much more stern. "Maybe my coming here has put you in a difficult position, senior brother, but," Lei Jing chose her words carefully, "the association is the culmination of my grandfather's life's work. I can't just watch it become a tool for some politicians to wield power or make a profit." "You say wielding power," Li Yan suddenly interrupted the woman's words. He picked up the hot water and drank it, smiling at the woman with an inexplicable wickedness. "Why isn't it wielding power if the association is handed over to you? Can you tell me, what's the difference between you and those politicians you despise?" Li Yan's words were very blunt, causing the flat-top man beside him to frown. The woman's face was calm. She just explained slowly, "The Chinese Martial Arts Association was founded by my grandfather. I have been involved in its affairs since I was 16. No one knows it better than I do, and no one loves it more than I do. Li Yan shook his head, put down his cup. When I shook hands with you just now, your hands were very soft. You haven't practiced martial arts, have you? The woman pursed her lips. I've been in poor health since I was a child, and the martial arts in my family are domineering. So, I only practiced some breathing exercises to regulate my breath. So, Li Yan lowered his head and suddenly changed the subject. Do you like to read martial arts novels, Miss Lei? Lei Jing was puzzled by the question and tried to answer. Jin Yong? Lao Shi, broken soul spear. The woman obviously didn't understand what Li Yan meant, but the flat-top man beside her squinted his eyes. Anyway, I don't have much energy left to help you with my disease. Thank you for your kindness. If you two want to stay for a meal, I have made dumplings. If not, please feel free. Also, please pay respects to the old man for me. At this point, there was obviously no need to continue the conversation. After a while, Lei Jing stood up silently but didn't leave immediately. Instead, she took out a business card under Li Yan's gaze and placed it on the table. She said, so many people have told me how domineering Li Yan is, they would never imagine what you are like now, senior brother. Li Yan tilted his head and didn't say a word. But my grandfather has always admired you, always. Do you know how he evaluated you? Lei Jing looked straight at the man, imitating her grandfather's tone. A martial artist should first harbor 3 points of evil in his heart. In my life, I have seen so many young people, and only this brat has exactly these 3 points of evil. No matter whether you agree to my request or not, senior brother, I sincerely hope that the 3 points of evil in your heart are still there. After saying that, Lei Jing turned around and left with the middle-aged man. Li Yan sat dumbfounded for a while, bent down to pick up the 2 cups of hot water and drank them. Then he chuckled, what a formidable girl. He took out a tissue and wiped his nose, not caring about the crimson stain on it, casually threw it aside. He laid down on the sofa. 3 points of evil, hee hee. Li Yan covered his forehead with his right hand, recalling the spirited old man with thick eyebrows, his smile tinged with bitterness. I'm sorry, old man, click. A pair of shiny black leather shoes stepped on the floor of his house. Li Yan recognized the owner of the shoes. It was the flat-top man who had been following Lei Jing. Is there anything else? Li Yan sat up and looked up, suddenly feeling a chill run down his spine. His chestnut-colored pupils contracted sharply. The door frame was being squeezed by the man's pale fingers, making a creaking sound. He was crouching like a beast, his face red and fleshy, slowly sagging down, sticking to the white tendons. His whole face was already in a state of decay. Upon hearing Li Yan's question, the man slowly raised his head, his bloodshot eyes protruding outwards, looking as ferocious as a demon. Li Yan slowly inhaled the cold air into his lungs, accompanied by the impassioned percussion music on the TV screen, was his short and forceful curse. Fuck.